Bless you. Who just sneezed next to me? Bless you, Clover. Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. Today is January 30th, 2020, and you are now watching me, Kenya. Welcome to 40 Entrepreneur Drive, where I'm going to be reading the Bible. Right about now is where I am testing all my controls and sharing out my live stream. And this is the perfect moment for you to share out the live stream on your social media if you have the means to do so. And if you do, I will be ever grateful to you. I like to take a few moments to let all my friends get their notifications and pop in the room. And after about 5 minutes, I'll get started with my Bible reading. And a shout out to all my new possible friends. I haven't checked my notifications yet, but to all my new people that I've talked to recently that I have shared my channel with, I would like to say thank you for your time and hopefully welcome now or welcome later. That would be Ty and David, Miss Ebony, Miss Debbie, the guy who always dresses up really, really nice at work, even though we work in a factory environment. Thank you for your words of encouragement, and also that channel that I'm going to check out, Jordan Peterson. So to all those folks who, and to Willie. I know for a fact that Willie joined. So to all the new people that may have joined already or will join, thank you and welcome. Thank you for your time. Again, this is the time where I do just a little bit of housekeeping, behind the scenes work where I'm sharing out the live stream so that I can make sure all my friends who may be available right now get the opportunity to join me. You can participate in this live stream by leaving your comment in the chat room, which is off to the side. And if you want to just sit and chill, that's okay. But I only ask one favor, and that's that you thumbs up the live. Thumbs up the live while you're here. That really helps out the channel and lets YouTube know what a fine job I'm doing. And it also helps it to get recommended so that other folks can find it and helps me grow my channel. So thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for taking the time to leave a comment, and thank you for leaving a thumbs up. Thank you for listening. All right. Okay. We got a few more minutes here. And today, let me grab my Bible out. I'm glad I didn't have my Bible out because let me tell you, right before I got started, I had to spill the tea. Seriously and literally, I spilled my tea. Luckily, it wasn't too hot because it would have burned me, but I spilled my tea all over the desk, and so I had to take a moment to wipe everything down. Luckily, the Bible was not out, or else I would have had soggy pages to sift through, and luckily, not too much of my laptop got wet. But even though there's challenges, I push through. I push through and I persist. All right, I'm going to drink some of this tea while I wait for my friends to come in. Then we will get started. You're going in timeout because we're not going to be having that foolishness around here. Not this morning. What's wrong? Everybody had breakfast? Everybody had a good time? Julie, you want to go hang out in the room? Come on. You're such a bully. Tell her. Get him. Entrepreneurs Ride, 40 Entrepreneurs Ride. Now it's time for me to start the live. Oh, I think I'm onto something new. Alrighty then. All my friends are on YouTube, and you should be too. So let's check in and see where we're going with this.
Hello?
Good morning. It's me, Kenya. How are you doing? Welcome to 40 Entrepreneur Drive, where here in the morning times, we're reading the Bible. I just spilled the tea on some really, well, I was trying to make a joke out of that. I literally spilled my tea. I don't know any celebrity news or gossip, but I literally spilled my tea right as I was getting started. And I had to sop everything up with my paper towels here. Luckily, not too much got on the laptop. And luckily, I didn't actually have my Bible out at that moment, because I keep it stored away in this plastic tub so that my cats don't get cat fur all over it or nibble the pages, which they sometimes do with paper products. Not sure why. But yes, the Bible was in a safe place, and my laptop survived. So good morning, good morning. It is January 30th, 2020. Today is Thursday. And for today's Bible reading, we will be covering Exodus. I hope I put the right number on there. Let's find out. A 1, a 2, a 3. Crunch 3. Okay, so today is Thursday, and we will be reading through Exodus 19, 20, and 21. The overall theme of this week's reading is a holy nation. A holy nation. I'm going to do a quick recap of the intro here for this particular week, which is week 5 of reading the Bible every day. I'll do a quick screen share so y'all can read along with me. This is
Thanks for watching, and
oops, don't want to do that. Don't say goodbye already. Okay, so this is A Woman's Guide to Reading the Bible in a Year by Diane Storts. I am in week 5 of reading the Bible every day, and like I said, this overarching theme is called A Holy Nation. The blood of a sacrificial lamb on the doorposts of their homes protected the Israelites from the final plague God brought against Egypt. Then, more than 2 million strong, with their flocks and herds and with the valuable gifts from their Egyptian neighbors, the Israelites hurried out of Egypt. But even after their release from slavery and their dramatic rescue through the Red Sea, the Israelites had trouble trusting God's care and provision. God continued to show his faithfulness. However, he made a covenant with the entire nation to make them his special people with a special purpose. He gave the 10 commandments and the laws found in Exodus 20 through 23, which is what we should be covering today, yes, to describe how his people should live because of their relationship with him. On the mountain with God, Moses received instructions for the tabernacle, where God would dwell among his people. Everything about the tabernacle's design, furnishings, and care signified God's absolute perfection and holiness. God also described for Moses the special clothing and duties of the priests, who would offer sacrifices for the sins of the people. And here we are, right here where my arrow is jumping around. Exodus 22. Oops. Hold on now. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Exodus 19 through 21. I'm sorry. 19 through 21. So we'll be getting a portion of those commandments, I believe. And the checkpoints for this week is the Passover lamb, water from the rock, a father-in-law's wise advice, eagle's wings, and a meal on a mountain. And for those of you who may be new or have not seen this cover before, this is the Bible guide that I am using. This is a Kindle download. You can get the hard copy as well. It's called A Woman's Guide to Reading the Bible in a Year, a Life-Changing Journey into the Heart of God by Diane Storts. This is written by a woman, and it was used for a woman's Bible study. But everyone is welcome to join me on this live stream, as it's the Bible. It's just the Bible. The Bible is for all, and so that just happens to be the book that I downloaded, and that is the pacing that I am following. So for a portion we stay in the New Testament. For a portion we go to the Old Testament, and then we jump to the New Testament, and it's about 2 to 3 chapters each day. And it is my goal to read through the Bible, through the entire Bible, which I've never done before. And it's my New Year's resolution, and that's why I'm doing it here on my channel, because I do spend so much time here on my channel, and I decided to invite all my friends to join in with me. You don't have to have your Bible and participate. You can just listen, or if you do have your Bible and know something about it, you are welcome to participate and give me your insight and your understanding of the passages that I read. Let me reiterate that everyone is welcome. Everyone is welcome here. I am a Christian. You don't necessarily have to be a Christian. You can listen just for the narration, for the storyline, or you can listen for understanding of your own. Anybody who has a comment or critique or any type of insight, whether you agree or disagree, all I ask is that you be respectful as you leave your comment, either now in the live chat or in the replay. And so with that being said, all are welcome. Welcome, welcome, all my friends, old and new. When you come in, do me a favor, leave a thumbs up in the live stream. It really does help out the stream, helps me to become discovered by other people who may be interested in my channel. And if you have the ability to share it out on social media and leave a comment. You can leave a comment now, or you can leave it after the fact. If you're shy, that's okay. Without further ado, let me do a recap. I like to do a quick recap of the previous days reading, which was 16, 17, 18. Yes, I believe it was 16, 17, 18. And chapter 16 was manna and quail from heaven. So, the folks were out there in the wilderness. They had escaped Egypt and the Pharaoh, and they were kind of hungry, and they needed some food, and so God provided for them. Life of Key says, good morning. Good morning. What else happened in chapter 16? That was pretty much it. Okay. Then we moved on to chapter 17, which was water from the rock. They were out there. They were kind of thirsty. They're like, we need some fresh water. They complained. God provided fresh drinking water from a rock. And also, Israel defeats the Amalekites. In chapter 18, Jethro visits Moses. Jethro is Moses' father-in-law, and he gave him some advice on how to lead the people. At this time, Moses was doing a lot on his own and by himself. And so his father-in-law was like, why don't you pick your most trusted people that are capable and have them, delegate some of these responsibilities. Don't do it all on your own. And that was Jethro's wise advice. And now, here we go. Chapter 19. Are you ready? I'm ready. Let's read the Bible. I sure wish I hadn't spilled my tea, because I only had a little bit left. But the good thing is, on the bright side, thinking positive, there was just enough to drink, right? Gotta look at the positive side sometimes. Chapter 19 of Exodus. There we go. Bring that up a little bit. Oh, and let me give you guys a view of the Bible that I am reading. This is the New Living Translation, New Believers Bible, compact version. This is what it looks like right here. This book right here. This is the Bible that I'm reading from. Like I said, it is the New Living Translation. The link to the guide and the link to this particular Bible are both in the description. All right, chapter 19. The Lord reveals himself at Sinai. This is the Mount Sinai. Exactly 2 months after the Israelites left Egypt, They arrived in the wilderness of Sinai. After breaking camp at Rephidim, they came to the wilderness of Sinai and set up camp there at the base of the mountain. At the base of Mount Sinai. Then Moses climbed the mountain to appear before God. The Lord called to him from the mountain and said, "Give these instructions to the family of Jacob. Announce it to the descendants of Israel. You have seen what I did to the Egyptians. You know how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Now, if you will obey me and keep my covenant, you will be my own special treasure from amongst all the peoples on earth. For all the earth belongs to me, and you will be my kingdom of priests, my holy nation. This is the message you must give to the people of Israel." So Moses returned from the mountain and called together the elders of the people and told them everything the Lord had commanded. And all the people responded together, "We will do everything the Lord has commanded." So Moses brought the people's answer back to the Lord. Check my stream real quick. Okay. Okay. Then the Lord said to Moses, "I will come to you in a thick cloud, Moses, so the people themselves can hear me when I speak with you. Then they will always trust you." Moses told the Lord what the people had said. Then the Lord told Moses, "Go down and prepare the people for my arrival. Consecrate them today and tomorrow, and have them wash their clothing. Be sure they are ready on the third day, for on that day the Lord will come down on Mount Sinai as all the people watch. Mark off a boundary all around the mountain. Warn the people, be careful, do not go up on the mountain or even touch its boundaries. Anyone who touches the mountain will certainly be put to death. No hand may touch the person or animal that crosses the boundary. Instead, stone them or shoot them with arrows. They must be put to death. However, when the ram's horn sounds a long blast, then the people may go up on the mountain. One quick observation here. So from a couple of weeks ago when we were in Genesis, there was Adam and Eve in the garden, walking around booty butt naked and everything, and God is kind of walking around with them and just chilling and hanging out. You're human beings in the presence of God, and everybody's cool with this. Then later on, generations and generations later, with Abraham and Noah, God is showing up again in person, and again, you're there in the presence of God, and you're almost like old friends. I mean, there's that formality, there's that respect, but they're just there with God. Like, that's like mind-boggling to me. Then, let's see. When is the first time that there's some fear shown? I don't remember if it was in the New Testament when we were reading Matthew last week or now. But now that I'm reading currently, I'm noticing people are fearful, they're trembling. And now to this point, it's God. I don't know if it's because he's setting the covenant up or because the people have fallen from grace so far from him that it's like, if you even come in this presence, if you even come here, you're going to die. But I mean, it went from we're close and we're so bonded together that I can be in the same room with God and it's fine. And now there's that separation. So what do you think about that? What is your interpretation of that as far as the relationship between humans and God and proximity and the relationship versus from what I've read so far up until this point? I'm just noticing that. So I'm going to finish reading in chapter 18 where I am at. No, I'm going to continue reading in chapter 19, chapter 19, and I am at verse 14. So God has already given this commandment. I'm about to come down and talk to the people through you, set up this boundary line, and this is what needs to happen if they cross those boundaries. Verse 14. So Moses went down to the people. He consecrated them for worship, and they washed their clothes. He told them, "Get ready for the third day, and until then abstain from having sexual intercourse." On the morning of the third day, thunder roared and lightning flashed, and a dense cloud came down on the mountain. There was a long blast from a ram's horn, and all the people trembled. Moses led them out from the camp to meet with God, and they stood at the foot of the mountain. All of Mount Sinai was covered with smoke, because the Lord had descended on it from. Whoa, hold on. Sorry about that. I'm trying to check my. Trying to keep my live stream here in front of me so I don't miss it, because I miss a lot when I'm looking down. On the morning of the third day, thunder roared and lightning flashed, and a dense cloud came down on the mountain. There was a long blast from the ram's horn, and all the people trembled. Moses led them out of the camp to meet with God, and they stood at the foot of the mountain. All of Mount Sinai was covered with smoke, because the Lord had descended on it in the form of fire. The smoke billowed in the sky like smoke from a brick kiln, and the whole mountain shook violently. As the blast of the ram's horn grew louder and louder, Moses spoke, and God thundered his reply. The Lord came down on the top of Mount Sinai and called Moses to the top of the mountain. So Moses climbed the mountain. Then the Lord told Moses, "Go back down and warn the people not to break through the boundaries to see the Lord, or they will die. Even the priests who regularly come near to the Lord must purify themselves, so that the Lord does not break out and destroy them." "But Lord," Moses protested, "the people cannot come up to Mount Sinai. You already warned us. You told me, mark off a boundary all around the mountain to set it apart as holy." But the Lord said, "Go down and bring Aaron back up with you. In the meantime, do not let the priests or other people break through to approach the Lord, or he will break out and destroy them." So Moses went down to the people and told them what the Lord said. Now we're in chapter 20. 10 Commandments for the Covenant Community. Then God gave the people all these instructions. "I am the Lord your God, who rescued you from the land of Egypt, the place of your slavery. You must not have any other God but me. You must not make for yourself an idol of any kind, or an image of anything in the heavens or on the earth or in the sea. You must not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, who will not tolerate your affection for any other gods. I lay the sins of the parents upon their children. The entire family is affected, even children in the third and fourth generations of those who reject me. But I lavish unfailing love for 1,000 generations on those who love me and obey my commandments." Another quick comment and or question: does this have anything to do with generational curses? If you know anything about that or have an opinion on that, let me know. Verse 7, "You must not misuse the name of the Lord your God. The Lord will not let you go unpunished if you misuse his name. Remember to observe the Sabbath day by day, keeping it holy. You have 6 days each week for your ordinary work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath day of rest, dedicated to the Lord your God. On that day, no one in your household may do any work. This includes you, your sons and daughters, your male and female servants, your livestock, and any foreigners living among you. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens, the earth, the sea, and everything in them, but on the seventh day he rested. That is why the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and sets it apart as holy. Honor your father and mother. Then you will live a long, full life in the land of the Lord your God is giving you. You must not murder. You must not commit adultery. You must not steal. You must not testify falsely against your neighbor. You must not covet your neighbor's wife, your neighbor's house. You must not covet your neighbor's wife, male or female servant, ox or donkey, or anything else that belongs to your neighbor." And covet is another word for envy, be jealous of, want what they have. When the people heard the thunder and the loud blast of the ram's horn, and when they saw the flashes of lightning and the smoke billowing from the mountain, they stood at a distance, trembling with fear. And they said to Moses, "You speak to us and we will listen, but don't let God speak directly to us or we will die." "Don't be afraid," Moses answered them, "for God has come in this way to test you, and so that your fear of him will keep you from sinning. As the people stood in the distance, Moses approached the dark cloud where God was. And now, proper use of altars. Verse 22. And the Lord said to Moses, "Say this to the people of Israel. You saw for yourselves that I spoke to you from heaven. Remember, you must not make any idols of silver or gold to rival me. Build for me an altar made of earth, and offer your sacrifices to me, your burnt offerings and peace offerings, your sheep and goats, and your cattle. Build my altar wherever I cause my name to be remembered, and I will come to you and bless you. If you use stones to build my altar, use only natural uncut stones. Do not shape the stones with a tool, for that would make the altar unfit for holy use. And do not approach my altar by going up steps. If you do, someone might look up under your clothing and see your nakedness." Interesting. Seems like that's making me think back to Noah after the flood, and they came out of the ark, and that was his first time making wine. I don't think they had wine before that point, so he made wine, and he got drunk, and he was laid out booty butt naked in his tent, and one son came in and did something that defiled him that was not really specified, and then the other sons came and covered him up with the blanket. But yeah, nakedness is like a huge deal since the fall of man, since, Adam and Eve. At one point, they were walking around nude and naked, and only because they became aware of it and had that knowledge from the tree of good and evil, then they knew that it was bad. But it wasn't really bad before then. And now, God is making sure, hey, keep yourself covered. Keep yourself covered up. Don't even go up steps when you're going to this altar, because people will see your nakedness. So that would not be a holy thing, I guess. Chapter 21 is talking about fair treatment of slaves. These are the regulations you must present to Israel. If you buy a Hebrew slave, he may serve for no more than 6 years. Set him free in the 7th year, and he will owe you nothing for his freedom. If he was single when he became your slave, he shall leave single. But if he was married before he became a slave, then his wife must be freed with him. If his master gave him a wife while he was a slave and they had sons or daughters, then only the man will be free in the 7th year, but his wife and children will still belong to his master. But the slave may declare, "I love my master, my wife, and my children. I don't want to go free." If he does this, his master must present him before God. And there's an asterisk there, so I'm going to jump down at the postscript to see what that means. Let's see, chapter 21, verse 6. Or before the judges. Okay. If he says this, his master must present him before the judges. Then his master must take him to the door or doorpost and publicly pierce his ear with an awl. After that, the slave will serve his master for life. When a man sells his daughter as a slave, she will not be freed at the end of 6 years. When a man sells his daughter as a slave, she will not be freed at the end of 6 years as the men are. If she does not satisfy her owner, he must allow her to be bought back again. But he is not allowed to sell her to foreigners, since he is the one who broke the contract with her. But if the slave's owner arranges for her to marry his son, he may no longer treat her as a slave, but as his daughter. If a man who has married a slave wife takes another wife for himself, he must not neglect the rights for the first wife to food, clothing, and sexual intimacy. If he fails in any of these 3 obligations, she may leave as a free woman without making any payment. Now, this is a touchy subject for me on many levels, but outside of it being a touchy subject, I have to say, I don't like what I hear or what I read, or I don't understand it. If you have an understanding of what I just read in chapter 21, please leave your commentary either in the chat room, live chat, or in the replay, the live replay. I guess as I was reading, it was not going in the direction that I thought it would. I get the part about the 6 years, or whether I agree with the part. I understand everything that I read. I understand everything I read, but I'm just wondering about the whole wife and children part. If you have any knowledge of history of this time period, or just history and knowledge of the Bible, please leave your comment in the comment section for the passage of chapter 21, and I'll say 1 through 6. If a master gave him a wife while he was a slave, and they had sons or daughters, then only the man will be free in the 7th year. But his wife and children will still belong to his master. Well, I guess the wife, if he was able to give a wife to the slave, then she was a slave to start with, right? So, okay, you can be free, but she's not. And since she's still a slave, I guess her kids are a slave until she is freed. That's my general understanding of it, but I'm still a little confused and a little bit disheartened, but I shall move on. I am not here to judge the Bible. I am here to read the Bible and to understand it. Okay, now we are at chapter 21 and verse 12. It's called the cases of personal injury. Anyone who assaults and kills another person must be put to death. But if it was simply an accident permitted by God, I will appoint a place of refuge where the slayer can run for safety. However, if someone deliberately kills another person, then the slayer must be dragged even from my altar and be put to death. Anyone who strikes father or mother must be put to death. Kidnappers must be put to death, whether they are caught in possession of their victims or have already sold them as slaves. Anyone who dishonors father or mother must be put to death. Now suppose two men quarrel, and one hits the other with a stone or fist, and the injured person does not die but is confined to bed. If he's later able to walk outside again, even with a crutch, the assailant will not be punished, but must compensate his victim for lost wages and provide for his full recovery. If a man beats his male or female slave with a club and the slave dies as a result, the owner must be punished. But if the slave recovers within a day or two, then the owner shall not be punished, since the slave is his property. Now suppose two men are fighting, and in the process they accidentally strike a pregnant woman, so she gives birth prematurely. If no further injury results, the man who struck the woman must pay the amount of compensation the woman's husband demands and the judges approve. But if there is further injury, the punishment must match the injury. A life for a life, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, a hand for a hand, a foot for a foot, a burn for a burn, a wound for a wound, a bruise for a bruise. If a man hits his male or female slave in the eye and the eye is blinded, he must let the slave go free to compensate for the eye. And if a man knocks out the tooth of his male or female slave, he must let the slave go free to compensate for the tooth. If an ox gores a man or woman to death, the ox must be stoned, and its flesh may not be eaten. In such a case, however, the owner will not be held liable. But suppose the ox had a reputation for goring, and the owner had been informed but failed to keep it under control. If the ox then kills someone, it must be stoned, and the owner must also be put to death. However, the dead person's relatives may accept payment to compensate for the loss of life. The owner of the ox may redeem his life by paying whatever is demanded. The same regulation applies if the ox gores a boy or a girl. But if the ox gores a slave, either male or female, the animal's owner must pay the slave's owner 30 silver coins, and the ox must be stoned. Suppose someone digs or uncovers a pit and fails to cover it, and then an ox or donkey falls into it. The owner of the pit must pay full compensation to the owner of the animal, but then he gets to keep the dead animal. If someone's ox injures a neighbor's ox and the injured ox dies, then the two owners must sell the live ox and divide the price equally between them. They must also divide the dead animal. But if the ox had a reputation for goring, yet its owner failed to keep it under control, he must pay full compensation, a live ox for the dead one, but he may keep the dead ox. That was a lot of jurisprudence there, and I didn't understand a lot of it, and I don't agree with all of it, but I'm here to read the Bible, not to judge the Bible. Today is the day where I will be reading one of these cornerstone pieces, which is some extra commentary here in this Bible, and this is going to be covering Exodus 21 through 17. It's called what is right and wrong, and this is covering the reading from Exodus 20, 1 through 17. Again, this part here is not biblical scripture. This is like a paraphrased interpretation of something that was already covered. Okay, big question. What is right and wrong? From Exodus 21 through 17. Have you ever tried putting together a do-it-yourself piece of furniture or some new sophisticated children's toys without a set of instructions? More often than not, if you choose to do it yourself, you will take twice as long to put the thing together, and you may even make some mistakes, some irreparable mistakes. Throughout the world today, more and more people seem to lack a set of instructions or absolutes to live by. They have no clear sense of what is right and what is wrong. But the good news is that God has given us a value system, a set of instructions to live by. It is called the Ten Commandments. This bedrock of spiritual and moral truth clearly distinguishes between good and evil, right and wrong, true and false. In these commands, God has given us a set of general instructions for just about every aspect of our lives. The first 4 verses, 2 through 11, show how we should relate to God. The last 6 verses, 12 through 17, teach us how to relate to one another. In 10 commands, God has clearly shown us what is right and what is wrong. When Jesus came, he, in a way, simplified these 10 commands by summing them up in 2 commands. You must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. A second is equally important. Love your neighbor as you love yourself, which is found in Matthew 22, verses 37 through 39. If we live by these commands, we will do what is right and live a life that is pleasing to God. That concludes today's reading of Exodus 19, 20, and 21. Tomorrow, Friday, we will pick it up at, let's see here. Tomorrow we will pick it up in verse 22, 23, and 24, and we'll finish it up on the weekend. Thank you to my special guest, Life of Key, who may have been the only person, yes, who was the only person in the chat room today, but thank you to all others who joined me, even though they did not make a comment. But thank you for your time, thank you for your likes, and thank you for joining me on the channel where I'm reading the Bible here in the morning. Let me know what you think about today's reading. Let me know any questions that you may have. Let me know what insight that you may have, or how you interpret any of the scriptures that I read today. On that note, I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day, and thank you for watching. Entrepreneur Drive 40, Entrepreneur Drive, Entrepreneur Drive 40, Entrepreneur Drive, Entrepreneur Drive 40, Entrepreneur Drive. Thanks for watching. Share, like, and subscribe.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to follow me on social media.